who you're trading with already. But I think that sort of core idea, there's clearly still some time to go before people feel like they really need to plan. Although I would say that, when I came in here, as I said, I've already had people contacting me and asking for that. So one of the things I have been pointing to is, for example, the checklist. But because I'd worked at Scottish Chambers before and we've done, more work, I guess, at a national level, I'm fairly familiar with things like the technical notices and the content of those technical notices. So I can maybe point people more directly towards certain things. I think it's going to impact them. But yeah, so I mean that's obviously, I think that's probably partially why people haven't looked at that.
Right.
It's looked so much at those resources so far. But there's a sort of renewed push, I would say, from obviously we've been pretty consistent, across the sort of British Chambers network and Scottish Chambers network in terms of actually highlighting these points, and this research got loads of pickup. I mean, our quarterly survey, which also, so when I released the Scottish Chambers of Commerce released the last quarterly survey that we did, which was just before I started this job, so that was back in sort of 18th of October. We released that. We did summarise some of these results as well, and that was covered in Herald, Scotsman, BBC. We had BBC Radio in the morning. We had ITV TV, and so it was covered. Basically every single press source in Scotland covered it. So this stuff is out there.
Yeah.
I think there's obviously a challenge now. I think even I've found this a bit more, considering that it's no longer my day-to-day job in terms of I'm right now. I came into this post. I'm certainly I've only been in for obviously a couple of weeks, but I'm more focused right now on things like, I don't know if you're aware of things like the AWPR of Aberdeen, it's a bypass route.
Right.
But more transport, connectivity focused and things immediately when I came in. So I've been less focused immediately on the Brexit stuff.
Okay.
So I have sort of seen that, thankfully, I guess, I feel a lot less stressed. But,
I can imagine.
I've sort of tuned out a bit of that over the last couple of weeks. To be fair, also, I don't have internet in my house yet, so it's
what's at that stage?
Overall. Maybe that's just the key. Is just just don't get internet.
That's a really good idea, actually. I think I might do that for my job.
I mean, it's not my choice. I have to do it now, but I think more, from that point of view, there's maybe that part of it. Obviously, some of your questions touch about the media. I think media do a really great job in keeping people informed, but I think there's a challenge, I guess, in that now, not anything, any real fault of the media, because they just continue to report the story, but because the story is so ongoing and there's so many different, every day there'll be a different sort of take on, a deal is a centimetre away or something like that, and that's not the media's fault for that. That is what's being reported to them, I would say, most of the time. That then comes back as people begin to tune out because they're not, there's sort of, consistent issues around things that are, never going to be solved. And then, as happened with some of the other stages up until now, those things have then been solved when it came to the actual sort of time point. I'm not saying that the, no deal situation still isn't going to happen or isn't possible. But there's, I think there's, as throughout this process, I guess people have maybe begun to tune out a little bit of the day-to-day news, and that might also be, partially why people are. I think also, to be fair though, a lot of it is just wise, I guess, because if you're a business, I think, if I was running a business, I think it'd probably be the right thing to do is start to look at, for example, what in terms of dietary into the EU, okay, what sort of compliance or regulatory things that I need to look at that I won't need to be aware of. How is that going to affect my supply chain and timings and things to get to the continent? I need to think about that. But again, I can understand also when there's plenty of other things going on day to day that you think it's more useful to wait until there's, or until it becomes clear maybe in a month or so's time that a no deal option is, significantly more likely. I guess you might want to. There is, there's obviously real challenges with that. What we've seen as well in our survey, in terms of the quarterly survey for Scottish Chambers, is that although the actual the economic environment was actually very healthy, I would say very healthy, but healthy. It's softening, but it's still healthy. Most of the results are fairly positive in terms of revenue for most of the sectors we cover. So we cover financial and business services, manufacturing, construction, retail and wholesale, and tourism in that survey.
And it's across Scotland, that survey?
Across Scotland,
yeah.
And at that, for the vast majority, it's fairly positive results. What we've seen that we were concerned about, and it's part of the reason why we brought in these survey results into at the Scottish level, was because there was softening investment. So we've seen sort of softening investment within that quarter, but then also softening investment expectations. So again, it's about, for us, as with anything, any sort of government policy decision, whether it's in Scotland, things like business rates, or, even things like income tax as well, it's about understanding what is a more certain path forward. The businesses understand that certain path. Things like, business rates, for example. Business rates is a favourite subject of mine. Yeah. But if you take, so right now the Scottish Government have basically tied business rates increases to the CPI inflation index.
Right.
But that's what the UK government have also committed to do. But the Scottish government so far, they've only really committed to it for 1 year, and they've not committed to it further on. That core idea of certainty, so that businesses can plan, okay, right, we've done CPI this year, are we going to go back to RPI, or are we going to do CPI for the next, until, there's some huge change further in the future? That obviously helps people to plan. They know if they've maybe got a couple of extra million in terms of headroom, if they're a big business and they've got, substantial rates. So, it's that sort of thing to understand, is how much is, I said a million in terms of the actual inflation index isn't really right, but that core idea of, just that, do we have a little bit more money to play with? Just given that certainty in terms of policy context, that's what we were trying to get at, I guess, with that survey, was that, we're seeing investment intentions fall a bit. What is that coming from? I think the other thing as well that I've heard, but I've not had really a chance, I guess, to properly verify, is that some of that is being reflected, I think, in lending conditions as well. So, so whereas businesses might still want to invest because Brexit is sort of changing the lending environment, it's making the cost of lending a bit more expensive. So even if businesses are wanting to invest, it's becoming maybe more difficult for them to access finance. I'm not, you need to speak to, Bank of England or UK Finance or something like that to really understand that, because I've not had that verified in any way. As far as I understand, I'm not sure if it's, when I last spoke to Bank of England with at one of their briefings as well, they've always highlighted it. I think this is, to me, I was at one of our own groups at Aberdeen Grampian Chamber. We're talking about the finance industry, and it's that core idea of actually the finance is there, finance has been available, and it's, if you look at the Bank of England data, they'll show you that the finance is out there for businesses, but a significant portion of it is businesses maybe not taking that up. And that's partially
because they're waiting.
Well, that's even historically, so that was really before things like Brexit to an extent, or before Brexit was more on the horizon in terms of this, crucial sort of deal period. So there's more a question of whether it's like a hangover from the financial crisis and a sort of sentiment trust issue. But I think the point is that the finance was out there, so I'm not sure if that is really true or not in terms of the lending conditions. But it's maybe something that's, you might have a bit more time than me to go and have a look and see if that's, if there's any truth to that. It's something, if it comes up, I think if I see more of those signals, then I'll maybe, go and have, or raise it to the Scottish Chambers or the BCC team, to see, if there is any sort of further, sort of truth to that. But I've only had it raised by a couple of people, so I'm not sure if that's really a across the board thing. So obviously lending conditions can vary for loads of different reasons, really dependent on the business or dependent on the product or dependent on what they want to finance for. So, there's loads of other things that could affect that.
Great.
Anyway, I don't know where we're at.
No, that's okay. No, it's fantastic. You've just been freely talking. It's been brilliant. You mentioned that there were some companies that were quite happy with a no-deal Brexit. What kind of companies were they, and what were their reasons for that?